Big Sills! Appreciate you guys coming aboard. Thank you very much. We appreciate it as you do each and every single day. One of the fastest growing shows on YouTube. Why that's important, I'm going to tell you here in a second. But we so appreciate you. Please hit the like button. Thank you guys very much. I want to say this to you here. Want to know why football and why the NFL made investments in Amazon, streaming, everything else that you see now on the net. Thursday Night Football. The most watched television show in history is Super Bowl 57. I don't care if it's the Jags or the Lions. Wouldn't have mattered. Football is king. Especially in a city like Philly, Buffalo, Green Bay. It's all they have. It's civic pride. Then, when you put on top of it, 54 million people watch the NFL draft. Some dude from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. The Jets pick in the 7th round. Bob Smith. Everyone goes nuts. Football has become such a dominant part of our life. I grew up on baseball, and I grew up in the Northeast. Baseball was dominant. I wasn't a football fan growing up. I was a Yankee fan. Still a Yankee fan. I could give you every number, every statistic, every single record that organization has ever had. I was a Yankee fan. I was a Thurman Munson guy. I was a Thurman Munson, Reggie Jackson guy growing up. Football was kind of like something else to me. Now, of course, Robustelli, family relations, being in the NFL, Hall of Fame, it was part of it, but I was a baseball fan. Dude, the biggest rivalry for me every year was Yankees and Red Sox. Baseball was king. Baseball lost that crown. Apple pie, hot dogs, Major League Baseball. Baseball lost their place in this country. Football's taken it. People like football, especially pro ball. You know why? Players' contracts aren't guaranteed. It's kind of like you guys got to get up every day to go earn a paycheck, don't you? That's what's symbolic about the business plan of the NFL. Had the quarterbacks, you know who they are. Those of you like your bosses at work. Those guys are different. Me and you are meat and potato guys, blue-collar dudes. We go to work every day. Shit, I got to make money just like you every day to support myself. That's the essence of the league. That's why people like it. And I think politics has helped the NFL. Can I tell you why? You can't move the scoreboard in sports. If you tune on a news show, they move the scoreboard. That guy's not the president of the United States. Fake news. That guy, that election is phony. He didn't really win. She didn't really win. Glass ceilings, this and that. NFL, football, there's a scoreboard. You can't move it. And you know what's cool? Fans don't want to move it. That's why football has these incredible numbers. Over 300,000 fans showed up to Kansas City just to sit there and watch that great event. The NFL is dominating. Kudos to them. They do such a great job at marketing their sport. Remember, they only play once a week, which makes it even more intriguing. Some of you guys like Tone are too young, but do you guys remember back in the day when they used to have the game of the week with Garagiola and Kubek? And it would be like the Saturday game. Could be Twins and Royals. We all sat around waiting for Mel Allen's This Week in Baseball. I used to sit around waiting for that. This Week in Baseball, the game of the week. Remember that? I love that stuff. But the oversaturation, and baseball's become too regionalized now. It's not the national sport it once was, like football is. Dude, I learned one thing about the Philadelphia sports fans. Dude, you guys love the Sixers. Great win last night without Embiid. Harden went off. Nuts. Great. Harper's back, DH. Thank God they have the universal DH. Great stories. But nothing like the Eagles. That team is civic pride in that city. You guys love that team. I'm not saying you don't like the Flyers or some of these other teams. Bills, Steelers. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying, though, that in that city, football's king. Football dominates. And you know what? You identify with the Eagles more than you do with the millionaire baseball players who have everything guaranteed, or basketball. You look at those NFL guys, you got to earn your paycheck. That's one of the cool things about the sport. And by the way, there's no ending calendar anymore like it used to be. When the Super Bowl ended, that was it. It was over. Now we have contracts with Jalen Hurts, free agency period, the draft, June 1. Shit, I think May 11th is the dropping of the schedule. We're going to know exactly where your teams are going to be playing and if they're going to be playing on national television. Let me give you one other example. So Aaron Rodgers, 40-year-old dude, he's now a Jet, 400% increase in season tickets. Pretty amazing. All right, we got a ton of shit to hit on. By the way, to get his thoughts, my boy Philly 500, 5:30 Eastern, is going to join us. We'll get his thoughts. I heard you guys tell me that he sent me out a link. I said, dude, don't do that. What do you think? I'm Tone? I'm not that mechanically inclined. You got to send me a text message. Let me know what you want. I never do shows. I never do them. I turn more shows down. Radio, streaming, I turn more shows down than you would probably want to know. But for a guy like that, I'm going to do it because he always comes on. So Philly 500. Neil, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to all you guys. I'm going to get to you guys here in a minute. I appreciate it. Let me throw some names at you. Because now, the last piece of the Howie Roseman puzzle gets put on the board. Now you get to complete the puzzle. Still a little bit more work to do. Let me throw some names at you that some guys are going to be casualty hits come June 1. Would you look at them on a Howie special? Would you look at them? Jameis Winston? Nah. He's going to be a casualty hit to the Saints because of the Derek Carr signing. Eagles have no interest in that. They drafted a kid. They signed Mariota. I think the Eagles are good. Actually, I think the Eagles upgraded their backup position. Right? How about Harrison Smith? Little old in the tooth. 33. Safety. 6-time Pro Bowler. Vikings. Any interest? On a reduced deal? The only thing you look at is last year, because of injuries, they targeted him a lot. And there was success against him last year, according to Pro Football Focus. He's an experienced safety. My opinion, it's about $18 million. They're going to cut his ass. How about for a year? Right, Neil? As Ringo gets ready to maybe take that ascent. Would that be something you'd be interested in? Harrison Smith, 1-year deal, 33, safety. Okay? He's going to get cut. Somebody to look at. And for Howie to wield his magic. Now, we know what happened this past weekend. How about Shaq Barrett? Edge rusher. He's 30. Would you be interested in Shaq Barrett? I think the Bucs are going to cut him. Now, the Bucs may not cut him because of the tragedy that happened this past weekend. How about Shaq Barrett? Giving you more depth. Putting him there. He's going to be cut. He's only 30 years old. And he is going to be, in my opinion, a very highly motivated football player because he's going to be playing for his daughter. And he's going to be playing for his family's sanity. Man, there's going to be a ton of teams that are going to offer him opportunities. Okay? Derek Barnett's not going to help you. Shaq Barrett will beat him out and end that experiment, that 7-year experiment that has not worked. Or it may motivate Derek Barnett. Right? Shaq Barrett, 30 years old. Injury-plagued season last year. Put him in a rotation with all them dudes. By the way, we got a topic on Nolan Smith and also Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. We're going to do that here in a minute. I think Michael Thomas is going to be cut. How about Michael Thomas as your number 3 guy? Who cares if he gets 35, 40 catches? He's going to expect that. You create depth and you put talent on the football team. Michael Thomas. How about him? And then you tell him flat out, we're going to put you in the slot. You're not going to have 100 catches. Let's get that out of the way here. You're not going to have 100 catches. We'll put you in the slot. You get a chance to win a Super Bowl. What's more important to you? 100 catches or a Super Bowl and a chance to revitalize your entire resume where people next year will want to look at you as a number 2. Or look at what Odell Beckham just got at $15 million. Remember something about Beckham. Beckham was the number 3 guy. This is where I got this from. Okay? This is where I got this from. Hey, Gigi, it doesn't matter if they signed extensions. I still think he's going to be a casualty hit come June 1. Even if he did, I think they're the worst team in the NFL in cap. How about this? Beckham was the 3rd guy in Los Angeles. He just signed a $15 million deal in Baltimore. $15 million deal. And he's been injured 3 of the last 4 years. You could pitch that to him. Interested? Why wouldn't he? Says he won't. Why, Stoney? You're going to sit in New Orleans? Or are you going to go to some shitty team to get catches on a bad team? Beckham's going to be good with Lamar? Don't you think Michael Thomas would be good with Jalen? How about this kid? C.J. Mosley, New York Jets linebacker. Relationship with Joe Douglas. Here's your Kaiser White. 2022 second team All-Pro. I think he's going to be a casualty hit. There's your linebacker. May not quite be Devin White. But how about C.J. Mosley? Second team All-Pro in 2022. I think he's a casualty hit. He signed some huge contract extension. Now that you've brought over Aaron Rodgers, you got to make now financial decisions because remember something, Joe Douglas didn't cut that deal with Aaron Rodgers. And do you know next year they owe Aaron Rodgers $104 million. $104 million. They got to pay him $104 next year. because Green Bay cut that deal. Remember that. They got decisions to make. CJ Mosley, as your veteran line, but you put CJ Mosley on that defense, you're complete. You got a better unit than you did a year ago. And your safety position might actually be better, deeper. Here's another one that might shake your tree leaves, but also injure your opponent in your own division. Jerron Kearse, Cowboys safety. He's going to be a casualty cap hit. How about putting him over? Keeping him in a division the same way you kept James Bradbury. How about that? See, to me, I like the Harrison Smith and I like the CJ Mosley. I would keep an eyeball on those two players. Smith's a little long in the tooth. No Cowboys in Philly. You guys are preposterous. Okay? Seriously, you guys are nuts. By the way, I've ranked, we're going to do this at the bottom of the hour. I've ranked all the teams and what I thought they did on the 3 days in the NFL draft. So we're going to do that at the bottom of the hour. I'm also going to rank the top 10 teams at both NFC and AFC. And I'm going to pick out surprise guys that I'm going to be looking at who were drafted in the first round that I'm going to keep an eyeball on. So Harrison Smith, Vikings, 6-time Pro Bowler, teaching the young kids back there. CJ Mosley, linebacker. What I'm trying to tell you is that come June 1, Howie Roseman's going to have players to pick from because this list is going to get bigger. It's going to continue to grow. This thing's going to be, Howie's got one more shining moment. That starts June 1. There's also some free agents that are out there right now. Okay? By the way, see what DeAndre Hopkins said today? DeAndre Hopkins goes, who said I want to leave Arizona? You know what he's found out? Nobody's going to pay that money unless Arizona picks up the majority of that contract. And Arizona is not. He could be cut too. You understand there's an enormous number associated with him this year and next year on that Arizona cap. So he might be cut. He could be DeAndre Hopkins. If I'm Howie, how'd you like to come play in the slot here in Philly? Could you imagine Hopkins, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, DeAndre Swift, and Dallas Goedert? Dude, one more piece, it's absurd. One more piece for the Eagles, it's absurd. I like Swift. I love what he did to the Eagles in game 1. Now, health is an issue with him, too. I like him, though. I do. I think he's a ball player. Okay? See, what the Eagles have done, they've made it fashionable for players to look at opportunity better and do this. Watch. You know, I might not get my numbers, but if I win a Super Bowl or if I win the opportunity to win the NFC and I'm going to be in the playoffs this year, I'm going to be playing with an organization and everybody. I'll tell you this. You know who won the draft? You know why Philly won the draft? Because of all the moves that they made. And I'm going to tell you why there were, do you guys know there were 40? Why do you think there were 43 trades in the draft? Why do you think 43 trades in the draft? Why do you guys think that? Why do you think there was so many trades? 43 of them. You guys have an idea? Why do you think there were 43 trades? just spitballing here between us two here. Why do you think there were so many? 43. Jason goes weak draft. That's probably it, Jace. People were trying to position themselves in the front end of the draft because I'm going to tell you guys this. Clifford's light in talent. Watch this. I think there's guys that are going to be in rounds 3 through 7. They're going to struggle to make the NFL teams. I think there's going to be guys in latter rounds that are going to struggle. Like, let me just put it to you this way. You know that kid Steen you guys drafted? If you put him in next year's draft, he's probably a 5th rounder, somewhere there. Hey, no disrespect. He went in the draft that he went in. But you got one of the sandbox guys, like I told you. The lack of talent is exactly right. People were jockeying to move into next year's draft or move up into the top 56. Remember I told you there's about 53 or 56 players in this draft. The rest of them, we'll see if they make teams. I agree with that. Twiz, I agree. I think coaching matters too. I think coaching will make him a better ball player. But let's not forget something. They got pretty damn good coaching down at Alabama too. There's a reason those position coaches down there are making $1.5 million. They're no slouches at Alabama, Georgia. And that's why Howie stays in that swimming pool of the SEC and in Georgia, Alabama. Perfect. Or he goes with people that have been evaluated by NFL head coaches or former coaches like Lovie Smith. Look at all those kids from Illinois that were drafted. I think that entire secondary was drafted. Right? Okay. Howie's got an opportunity. He has got an opportunity. I want to throw this out here. What are your expectations of Jalen Carter this year? What are your expectations? What do you want him to have as personal goals as he gets ready for the upcoming rookie season? What would make you go, wow, what a great pick? 5 sacks and 40% of the snaps. Defensive Rookie of the Year, 215. Day 1 starter. 10 sacks. Woo! At least 7 sacks and a major disruption in the running plays. Day 1 starter. Play about 50% of the snaps, 7 sacks. Someone other teams fear. Tone, let me hear yours too. 8 sacks would be very impressive. Agreed. It is his first year, so who knows? Shane, don't say that. This guy's the 9th pick in the draft. He could have went number 1 overall. You think there's higher expectations at Carolina on Bryce Young? Don't just go, hey, whatever, this is like a redshirt year. That's not what this is. Starter and pressure. A Brad Culpepper season for a rookie. Brings up one of my boys' names. Violence. Okay. Starter is not a goal. Huh. Okay. Hit Dak so hard, he knocks the star off his helmet. Right, Benny? I want Jalen Carter to hit that guy so hard the star falls off his helmet. Okay. Give me 8 sacks, says Tone. Here's my expectations. By the end of the season, I want Jalen Carter to be the best defensive tackle the Eagles have. I want him to be the very best inside tackle that this team has. That would be pretty good, especially with the talent that he has in the building. As of today, who you got NFC or AFC champion game? 5573, I'll get to that. That's a good topic. I'll hit that. Mainly because I know you'll be rotating. Jerome Brown 2.0. I want him to be the very best defensive tackle, and I want us to see those flash plays. I want to see impact. I want to see, like what Ndamukong Suh was his rookie year when he was in Detroit. He was a wrecking ball. I think this guy, given the proper guardrails, could be that wrecking ball. I think he could be that wrecking. I expect it. There is a lot of pressure on Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. The Eagle future in the front seven is in two 21 and 20-year-old players. There is a lot of gambling there. High picks, high expectations. There's an issue with, get this, do you know what the issue is with both these players? I think it's dedication. I think you can coach that. I don't think it's talent. My problem is one thing, though, with dedication. I shouldn't have to push you to the edge. I should have to pull you off the edge. Those are the kind of players I want. Now, when you're pulling players off the edge, you get edgy dudes. It just seems that these two guys, I got to push them a little. Now, if Tracy Rocker's the guy to push him, I believe there's no other D-line coach in the NFL that can motivate these two players other than him. I think these two guys are in an absolutely gold mine situation. Families know each other. They know strengths and weaknesses of one another. They know if Tracy gets on their ass, it's from a place of love. You know, Tracy's got to talk to these two guys differently now than he did when they were at Georgia. You know what he's got to tell them? Man, this is a job now. You get fired from this job. When you're in college, you just get demoted. You get to keep your scholarship. When you're in the NFL, you get fired. You lose what you've built up in a second. Tracy's going to be able to have come to Jesus conversations with these guys. I think Tracy Rocker is going to be one of the most important coaches in that building next to Jeff Stoutland. Because he's got to teach these guys to be pros. I think Jordan Davis struggled on being a pro last year. What it takes. I don't want to talk to you about conditioning. If I've got to bring conditioning up to you, that to me is a weakness in your character. If I've got to tell you to put the White Castle burger down, that's a weakness. You're a pro now. Act like it. And perform like it. That's right, JC, like many rookies. But when you're the 13th and 9th pick, do you understand that? Nowhere in that O-line, that legendary Eagle O-line, do you have 2 1s. Not on that Eagle line that you currently have. You have a 7th rounder, a 6th rounder, a 2nd rounder, a 2nd rounder, and a 1st rounder. Over on your defensive line, you've got Cox 1st rounder, Davis 1st rounder, Carter 1st rounder, Graham 1st rounder. You got quite a bit of equity in draft choices, and you drafted all those guys. He played a role last year behind the best D-line in the league. Absolutely untrue. You were 16th against the run. He got 0 hits on the quarterback. He couldn't beat 2 36-year-old D tackles out. Don't talk to me about he played behind a bunch. He couldn't beat out 2 guys that were at the ice cream stand, Arthur. You You got those guys halfway through the year. They weren't even in training camp. Okay? A lot of expectations on those two men. Boy, if I was Jordan Davis, I'd be one pissed off dude. One pissed off dude. Because you know they're thinking this in the building. We really like you, but you didn't step up to your reputation of what we thought you were going to be last year. Not a chance in hell. Maybe Carter can bring that out. Maybe he can bring that out. Okay? Sills, have you ever been approached to coach? Yes, by Butch Davis at UNC and University of Miami and Cleveland. I think Coach Wannstedt asked me for Pitt. And I was asked to be in the personnel department by Ken Herrick with the Raiders and Al Davis and Bruce Allen. Those were the times that I had been kicking around getting into personnel or into coaching. I didn't want to do coaching. I wanted to be more involved in personnel. Okay? So, I mean, I find it cool finding guys like Jordan. See, to me, finding Jalen Carter's, that's not the hard thing. Finding Jordan Mailata's and Jason Kelsey's, that's the gems. Getting a Nick Foles to win you a Super Bowl MVP, to me, that's the gems. You know what I mean? Russell Wilson in the third, Montana in the – that to me, I like that. I like to see guys like Carl Mecklenburg, who was drafted back in the old days when they had 12 rounds. In the 12th round, he goes on to be a 6-time Pro Bowler with the Broncos. Or Tim Krumrie, who was drafted late, and he went on to be an all-pro nose guard. Stuff like that. I like that. Jalen Hurts in the second. I think the Eagles do a really great job of that, okay? All right. How to use Nolan Smith now? How to use Nolan Smith? How would you use him? First and foremost, do you think Nolan Smith has an opportunity to start right away? Funny, now that I think about it, Smith may have the opportunity to start even before Jalen Carter. I think Jalen Carter's got to be a day one starter, in my opinion. Okay? Clifford. Look at Clifford here, man. This guy must be a football guy. I don't want to use him like Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick is a one-dimensional player. Okay? He's a one-dimensional guy. Are you under the impression that you think Hassan Reddick's a better ball player or has more physical attributes than Nolan Smith? He doesn't. Reddick's not a good tackler and can't cover people. He's elite in pass rushing. He's situational. And once they got those 2 D tackles, his game elevated. Kind of the facts. Smith can cover. Smith can cover. He can. I agree. I think, plus he has more length. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4". Am I right? Am I right when I say that, Tone? He's like 6'3", something like that, 6'3", 6'4". He's not a little man. And he's got speed to boot. Personally, I think, and I'm going to make a comparison to you on Nolan Smith here. I think Nolan Smith is an undeveloped Micah Parsons. Let's take a look back at Micah Parsons and his evolution on playing in the Dallas system. Remember something. When their defensive end went out, they were forced to put his hand in the dirt. Dan Quinn didn't know what he had, actually, until he saw the versatility in the kid. And when they found out that this guy could get around the hula hoop, they were amazed. They weren't using him that way. They were using him more as a cover guy, backside of the backfield, and occasionally rushing. Once they realized what they had, they wound him up and let him rush the passer. Personally, 6'2", 238, he's a tad bigger than Hassan Reddick. I thought he was taller. Almost, let's see. Okay, I thought he was taller. 6'2" on the perimeter, rushing the passer. Okay, he's not like he's a little bigger than Reddick. Okay. But he's got that 4-something speed, that 4.4 speed. And that 4.4 speed is going to carry him a long way. Hassan 6'1", 235. He's a little bigger. But that lightning speed that he has. So, what's better? 34, 43. Do you situationally pass rush him at first? What's the best way of using Nolan Smith? Use him on third down? And by the way, when I say this, just so you know, most teams are in nickel personnel 75% of the time. It's roughly around 72. But most of the time, you're in nickel personnel anyway, the majority of the game. Very few times are you in first and second down personnel. You're mostly in nickel. 72% of the time in the NFL nowadays. And see, Tone brought something up a couple months ago, maybe been a couple weeks ago, where he said if you don't have 4 linebackers that can be on the field all at once because of the versatile personnel that most teams have nowadays to go after defenses, you're kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit here. He's right. See, the Eagles now have perimeter guys. But Reddick, to me, I think Reddick has to play on the strong side. I think he has to be your strong side linebacker. In the weak side, okay, to me, the weak side linebacker, most of the time, to me, I'm going to flip him. And I'm going to keep Reddick on the right side of my defense. And I'm going to put Nolan Smith to the wide side of the field. Why? To set the perimeter and to set the edge. He's got the speed. I'm going to flip these guys. That's how I would play Nolan Smith. I want Nolan Smith on the wide side so he can cover the open space more than Reddick. Reddick can't. That's not his forte. Not a rip. It's just who he is. It's not a rip. Utilize the 4-4 strength that you have. Keep Nolan Smith. Hey, disrespect. I think your defensive ends, I think they do a nice job on the edge. But with the complex offenses that you have, I want to be able to have a 4-4 guy in open space versus a guy who struggles in making tackles and doesn't do a very good job at covering linebackers and running backs out of the backfield. I'm going to utilize this kid's strengths. This helps Reddick. Wind him up. Hit the quarterback. Wind him up. Hit the quarterback. And what you have Nolan Smith doing, you got Nolan Smith learning the game. You wind him up occasionally and let him hit the quarterback too, because you want to utilize that 4-4 strength just as much. But remember something in the Eagle defense. They don't blitz a ton. I don't think they're going to change a lot of the personality and philosophies that they have in what they did a year ago. I think they believe in that umbrella defense, and I think that is an organizational decision that they've made doing. So for me, if I'm Sean Desai, see, what I'm trying to do is construct the defense for you using all your personnel here. Here, your 2 rush ends. I have to game plan that, guys. I have to game plan Reddick. Dude, 17 sacks has my attention. 17 sacks has my attention. Knocking quarterbacks out of games has my attention. 4.39 also has my attention. What does that mean? Well, I got to keep tight ends in, not just backs. Who's coming? Which one's coming? You've got to make these 2 guys on your edge. You got to make these guys weapons. One guy 17 sacks, another guy 4.39. Tell you this, Nolan Smith doesn't have any equity in the NFL right now. But you know what he does have? That 40 time. That 40 time, if I am an offensive coordinator, I've got to sit here and go like this. I'm not putting a back on that guy. He's going to run right around him. You can't put a back on Reddick. We saw what happened when you tried that shit in San Francisco. Okay? Hey, Seals, remember when I said Reddick would get close to 20? Congratulations, Rage. You got it right. You get a merit badge. You were right. You were right. I wondered why a guy was working on his third team. Now I know why. Arizona and Carolina sucked as coaches. You were right. It's not a rip, and I'm not with sarcasm here. I give it to you. You're right. But to me, again, here. So I'm going to have 4-3-9 in my open field. You say you get around my edge setter, which is Josh Sweat or Brandon Graham. I got to do it out here on the perimeter out here, 4-3-9. Your back or your tight end's not getting away from that guy. He's not getting away from that dude. Okay? Teams want to what? Spread you out, get out wide on you. So you got that pretty covered. Now, your interior, Dean, and this kid Morrow. I think you need another linebacker. Like I said, I'd love this guy, C.J. Mosley. You put C.J. Mosley next to Nakobe, that helps Nakobe. Or somebody like C.J., who's going to be a cap casualty come June 1. I think they need another veteran guy in there. Okay? Nakobe Dean is going to be a good football player if Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox have a great year. Your guy will have a great year. I've got to play both. I do not want to do this. I do not want to have my 2 first-rounders off the field because we're playing a 34. And Jordan's at the nose, and you've got Sweat and Graham. So you're going to sit Carter and Cox? Why would you do that? It makes no sense. You're taking your best players off the field. I'm almost going to go to a 5-look bear front. Nose, 2 guards, 2 ends, rushers, 2 linebackers. Okay? And to Tone's point, shit, man, I got a 4-3-9 guy out here that's going to be covering open space. I got a 4-3-9 guy who's going to be in the middle of the field. My corners are set. The safeties have to play well. And they created depth at safety. Okay? I think you got to run to 43 too. I think you got to run to 43 and you got to come out of that look. Okay? Joe says, Sills, you're absolutely brilliant when it comes to identifying who can play. I hope you could take a chance and put your knowledge on display. Hey, all I'm saying to you is I want to put my best players in the best position to be successful. And taking Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox off the field and putting just one nose in and Graham and playing a 34 front with limited linebackers is not something I think is a successful remedy. I think you'll have holes. You'll have more holes in a 34 than you will in a bear or the 43. Your personnel right now is set up for the 43. Okay? Now, if you improve it somehow with linebackers, then it's a different, but you're not. You're limited there. You're stronger on the perimeter right now. Look at where you are. Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Hassan Reddick, Nolan Smith, right? Inside you have an inexperienced Nakobe Dean and a guy you got from the Bears. That's not going to cut it. Now, could this kid Morrow play better because he's got better personnel on his sides, on his flanks, and in front of him? Yeah, he could. He's an experienced pro. How he identified that, hey, got to remember something. They took Roquan Smith away from him, playing next to him. They took Hicks away from him, who was playing in front of him. And they basically stripped that defense down in Chicago. So no wonder he was chasing for those 100 tackles the entire season. Played on one of the worst, if not the worst defense in the NFL. Well, there's a reason. The personnel also played a factor in that. How could you have the worst defense in the NFL in Chicago? Holy shit. Just think about what the Philadelphia fans were doing to Jonathan Gannon when they were playing that soft coverage, umbrella coverage. And in Chicago, you had the home of the linebacker, the worst defense in the league. How inappropriate is that? No wonder Chicago fans are killing them up there every game and every day. How can you have a shitty defense in Chicago? That's incredible. Chicago's known for defense. You're known for screwing the quarterback up, but you're usually known for defense. That ideology has completely gone away since there's really been no leadership there when it comes to running that team. They get these stupid coaches in there, and they don't go to the philosophy of today. So to me, again, Nolan Smith has a chance to be a game wrecker. You put him, and get this, he's going to be more singly lined up one-on-one, and you're going to watch a guy, dude, 4.39, I am going to take complete advantage of that guy's speed. And I'm assuming because he played in a great scheme and in a great defense with great players, that his transition is going to you know what I noticed at the press conferences about him? He's in command. Did you not notice that about him? When Jalen Carter was there and Nolan Smith was talking, articulate, smart, command, Jalen was a little bit kind of probably nervous what people may ask him. Nolan Smith, though, I thought Nolan Smith was in command. He seemed like a leader guy. Didn't he to you? I felt good about him. I felt good listening to him. When things started going a little bit amateurish in the press conference, he grabbed the mic. It's our opportunity. We really feel that we're going to really have and hopefully give this team some support here and anything they need from us. It was like, I really liked it. So to me, Nolan Smith may have more of an impact this year than even Jalen Carter, because you're going to see his plays because of his speed. Jalen Carter, look, for me, 7 sacks, 54% of the plays. If you're in there and he's got hits on the quarterback and he's lined up in the 3 technique, he could be in the conversation on making the all-rookie team. And I expect him to. I think Nolan Smith can. There's something about the kid Smith. The more I watch, I went back and see, to me, impressions matter too. But just the way a guy commands it, like Jalen commands a room. Nolan Smith kind of commands the room. I think he's impressive. I think he's an impressive young man. And when you had a conversation with him in Indianapolis, I see why the coaches liked him. I see why they thought a lot of him. See, and you know what I like too? When you go back and you listen to all the press conferences, I went over to the Twitter page of the Eagles. And I was listening to Sidney Brown talk and Keely Ringo. And I was listening to Tyler Steen and Nolan Smith and all these guys. A lot of quality and character guys. I was pretty impressed with these guys. Got good people, coached by great guys, great programs. This is all in these kids' laps. I'll tell you one more time here. Let me say it again to you. Your general manager is by far, let me back up. I think John Schneider in Seattle has done a great job. Mickey Loomis is a great talent evaluator. We'll see what they do in New Orleans. I think people are sleeping on them. I think Joe Douglas is doing some fine things with the Jets. I think Belichick has fallen off the map. I think Gutekunst, did you hear that bullshit from Matt LaFleur in overselling Jordan Love? You see what the Packers did? They gave him this really weird 1-year extension of $22 million with 13 or 14 guaranteed for a guy that's never played or limited play. They're overselling it, which means this: they're not sure. You don't oversell certainty. Did anybody oversell Jalen Hurts signing that contract? Did anybody say anything on why Philadelphia gave him that contract? I never heard the owner say it. I never heard the general manager. We believe in this kid's future. We believe who he is, and he's got equity to show it. Okay? They're going off of what they've seen. In Green Bay, you're going off of what you're hoping. You're going off of what you're hoping. And look at the ton of equity in the draft, free agents, all the shit that they're doing. Personally, I think Matt LaFleur is an overrated coach, and it's going to be exposed this year. And I don't think Jordan Love's a good ball player. Because if Jordan Love was a good ball player, Aaron Rodgers would have never got that 3-year contract extension. You know it, and I know it. If they believed it. Not a chance. Not a chance. They would have never given him that money. And look at what Rodgers did. I think Rodgers did the right move by getting the hell out of Green Bay. They were never going to – they put all the faith of the organization in his lap and did nothing for him. No wideouts, nothing. He developed them all, him and Favre. And now, because you know why they're doing all that in Green Bay? They're doing it because they're trying to cover the mistake of Jordan Love. They're going to put, dude, if they could put Derrick Henry up there, they would. They would put Derrick Henry. Now, some will turn around and go, well, Sills, aren't they doing the same shit in Philadelphia? It's different, though. You have a quarterback that was working with you. You have a quarterback that gave you off-ramps. You have a quarterback that wants a roster around him. You know what you basically have? You have a Tom Brady 2.0 version of a guy who's investing in himself. I have always said this about Tom Brady. And you know why Tom Brady's worth the money he's worth now? And you know why Tom Brady has the rings he has now? Is because Tom Brady never took the most money. Tom Brady always gave back money for the rest of the team so that the Patriots could go out and get other players in the O-line, situational players, not superstars, but a roster. And they built a roster. I would say this to you. On that Philadelphia Eagle defense right now, there's no superstars. That's like a Philadelphia's got like a New England defense. When Brady was in New England. Okay, you had Stephon Gilmore. Dude, I wouldn't call Mike Vrabel a star. Richard Seymour, they moved. Chandler Jones, they traded. Okay? It wasn't like Rodney Harrison was at the back nine of his career along with Seau. Teddy Bruschi, Hightower, those guys weren't superstar ball players. They were good ball players. They were good. It's kind of what they're doing in Philly. And it's working like it did in New England. Ty Law, only star? Probably. Okay? Again, Darrelle Revis, I get. You notice it's at the corner position, though. Stephon Gilmore, Revis. Okay? That's where they believed. That's why this kid Gonzalez falling down to them. They may not have had a great draft, but they got a good pick in the draft. John says, I loved it when Jalen Carter was struggling at his pro day. Who was there for Jalen? Nolan Smith. That's a leader. Nolan Smith. That is so true. I saw that same thing. Let me tell you something, John. all this shit that's being talked about on Jalen Carter, he has got a support system in Philadelphia that is don't take it lightly. You got Rocker in there, you got Davis in there, you got Dean in there, you've got Nolan Smith in there. He has so many fail safes for him being an Eagle. Man, it is so great to see. This is why I have not one problem with anything about this young man's character. I hope he doesn't prove me wrong, but I have no misgivings about that team taking him at 9 because he could have went at 1. Okay? Could have went at 1. And if you look at the draft, here, Jalen Carter, underdrafted. Nolan Smith, probably underdrafted. Couple picks. Tyler Steen, overdrafted. Sidney Brown, underdrafted. Keely Ringo, underdrafted. Tanner McGee, underdrafted. The Texas kid, one of the top 100 high school prospects when he went to Texas and went to Austin, probably underdrafted. And again, the thing that Steen's got the advantage of, he's got Jeff Stoutland. He'll be okay. He'll be okay. Philadelphia was the absolute best thing for Jalen Carter's long-term success. If he fails, it's entirely on him. 1,000%. Like, here's the difference here between him and Jalen Reagor. If this guy turns out to be Mike Momola, it won't be because the Eagles didn't do their homework. I will not blame Philly. I will not blame the Eagles or the front office. No way. That's the kid's fault. That's the kid's fault. And I would also say this. Be the last time I talked to Kirby Smart about a kid. You better tell me the truth when I'm asking you about a kid and I find out that this guy's a shitbag and you ain't telling me the truth. And, you know, most coaches have a but. Or they don't when it comes to their players. Here's how Jimmy would do it. This guy's a really great ball player, but, and there was always a but behind it if the kid was a problem or had some issues. Sometimes he didn't put that but behind it. Rage says, Cox rookie year, he got 5.5. Donald had 9 sacks. Do you think if Carter doesn't fall in that range, he underperformed? Here's the thing, though. Fletcher was in a rotation too, right? See, Donald Rage is such a freak show. He's 6 feet, 275. I don't know how he does it inside. You know, last year he was injured. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does that. He's the best pass rushing 3 technique, I think, in NFL history. I don't think he's the best D tackle in NFL history. I don't think he's Joe Green. I think Sapp's better. Okay? I do. I think Sapp's better than Aaron Donald because those guys were dual players. Shit, there's a point in me that really liked that 1 point Fletcher Cox. I prefer Fletcher Cox over him because Fletcher could get you 7-8 sacks, but he also played the run and stopped the run. And he was an all-around DT. I like that in a football play. I like you all around. I don't like you running around blocks. And I thought Aaron Donald ran around a lot of blocks. I still think he does. That's why he plays on defenses that give up 5.5 yards a clip. You know how you beat the Rams? Run the ball on them. That's why a team like Philly would own the Rams at full strength. They would own the Rams. They would own the Rams. I mean, he runs around a shitload of blocks. Dude, TFLs, sacks, the numbers exceed it. So you kind of do this. You kind of do this with Aaron Donald. Okay. Like you did with Junior Seau. Junior Seau never played in a defensive scheme. He played in his own scheme. Like here's what Seau would do in his young days. Seau would completely break down the defense, miss the tackle, but then turn around and run the guy down 17 yards. And you're sitting there on film going, you let that shit go. Because the guy's so freaking great. You just let it go. The same thing with like Barry Sanders. -5, -5, 82-yard touchdown run. You're just like this. What are you going to do? You give guys like that latitude. Okay? You give them latitude. Like the guy Diggs that plays in Dallas. That guy gambles so much that I don't like that style. I don't like you getting 6 picks, but yet you give up 10 touchdowns and teams attacking you. To me, I think that's kind of like fool's gold numbers. So wait a minute. They targeted you the 3rd most in the league. You had 6 interceptions. You turn around and you go, did he have a good year? They targeted him every time we played against him. Right? I don't like guys like that. They gamble like. See, that's the one thing that you do like what the Eagles have done. The Eagles have a structured system. Okay? They have a structured way of doing things. Yeah, no, man. I mean, look, Nolan Smith has a chance to be a weapon for Philly this year. I think he has the ability to be a weapon. I would line him up, before we take a time out here, I would line him up in the wide side of the field, the open field. Okay? Why? 4-3-9, dude. 4-3-9. Let Reddick come off the other side. Dude, you got guys doing this. Those perimeter guys, Smith and Hassan Reddick. If I don't see those guys utilized from this D coordinator, what's the point of drafting them? If Nolan Smith is 4-3-9 is not being used, why'd you draft him? Why'd you draft him? Okay? Dallas didn't get better this offseason. I think we sweep them. I disagree. I think Dallas did get better. I don't like the draft pick they picked. Okay? I don't. All right. I got grades for all 3 days of every team in the NFL. My post-coaching hires, free agency, and NFL draft, top 10 NFC and AFC teams. We're going to do that next. Don't forget, my boy Philly 500 is going to join me in hour 3 at 5:30. I want to get his take. I think it's going to be I'll tell you my take on all the teams, especially in the NFC East. Hit the like button, hour 2. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News?
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. So is Deion Sanders calling the National Football League racist? Or unprepared? Not doing their due diligence. Not one HBCU player was drafted into the NFL. Can I make a point to you on that? All the top black players don't go to HBCU schools anymore. I'm not sure what Deion's saying here. Are they calling? If you're a kid in Louisiana or Alabama, I mean, are you gonna go to Grambling or are you gonna go to Alabama or LSU? Where are you going to get better coaching? I don't want to take buses to games. I want to take airplanes. What's happened with HBCU, unfortunately, just like the Negro Leagues, all these colleges have integrated now, and the Negro Leagues went away. HBCU is not what it used to be. You know, you could probably put a wing of that Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame, of all the legendary HBCU schools, and you could probably have a hell of a football game with all the Hall of Famers. So when Deion throws that out and says, well, not one kid got drafted, I'm not sure where he's going with it. So are you saying that a team like the Eagles or a team like the Cowboys or Packers aren't drafting anybody from HBCU because they're from black schools? I'm not sure what the connotation is. If there were great players at those schools, they'd be drafting them there. Do you notice one thing about the draft? And this is why Deion's comments, and I love Deion. This is why Deion's comments are stupid. Not one kid in the top 31 picks was drafted from a non-Power 5 team. Bama, Ohio State, Bama, Florida, Illinois, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Northwestern, Bama, Iowa, Georgia, Iowa State, Mississippi State, Oregon, Iowa, Pitt, Ohio State, TCU, Boston College, USC, Maryland, Utah, Michigan, Oklahoma, Clemson, Georgia, Kansas State. What's your point, dude? See, that's race baiting. You have no context to that. Okay? You have none. You're just trying to that to me right there is where you kind of throw things out. You know, it's like when you call racism, dude, is there racism in this country? Absolutely. But when you keep using the word and you keep going down that lane, people stop hearing you. The black athletes today don't go to lesser programs. That's not a black-white thing. That's an exposure, coaching, playing against great opponent thing. If I'm a great African-American player, I'm not going to Jackson State. I'm going to LSU. I'm going to A&M. I'm going to Ohio State. That's just today, dude. Okay? That's just today. And what Deion does, he puts a microscope on it, makes the NFL feel like, again, they have to comment on that. They shouldn't. Nobody in their right mind is going to draft and have a white draft board and a black draft board. You're looking for the best football players you can find to help your team win. You are. I personally believe that. Okay? So Deion was race baiting there. You should be asking the high school African-American players why they're not going to HBCU schools. That's the question. Not whether or not the NFL drafts. The NFL is not obligated to hire you if you're not good enough or they don't think you're good enough. So, again, I saw that article and I'm like, this is ridiculous for him to say that. African Americans don't go to school there anymore that are football players. Okay? Hurts, as he goes, Deion is still struggling with the CU choice. Probably, because he knows he's got a shitty team. Probably. And by the way, should have been the Auburn coach instead of that scumbag Hugh Freeze. Okay? Absolutely. Absolutely should have been the Auburn head coach. Don't regret that decision. Freeze will do something stupid and he'll be fired because he always does. Okay? Kelly Green goes, not true, you're white, you don't know. So so wait a minute, Kelly Green. You're under the assumption if you're one of the top-rated black football players, you're going to Jackson State over Alabama. Sure. Right. Why would you go to a lesser program? This is nothing to do with civic pride. Kids go to school to the best programs in the country. You know why? Because they're going there to take airplanes to games, staying in high-class hotels, black and white, not staying at Motel 6s. They don't have the economic resources that these power programs, Conference USA, the Mountain West, the Sun Belt Conference can't compete with SEC. You guys know that every single Southeastern Conference school, which is 10 of them, you know they got $68 million last year in television rights alone. You know what the Pac-12 got? 28. And you're trying to tell me about a kid should go to HBCU over LSU. Why? Why? Why should a black family in Florida tell their kid to go to a lesser program if he could go to Florida or Georgia? Why? Because of the history? That's for political people and bullshit artists. I want my kid to go to the best school possible. I want my kid to get the best coaching, black or white. Not to sit there and go, well, they used to do this back in the 60s. I don't give a shit about that. My kid needs the best schooling today. My kid needs the best opportunity today. The chances of that kid being a first-round pick at a Jackson State is slim to none. My kid being drafted number 1 overall out of Alabama is 10 times. It's not like it used to be. By the way, the history of the HBCU, Doug Williams is one of my closest friends. He's on the board of directors. That's why they're trying to get Nike to put more money into the programs. Well, let me ask you this. Why doesn't the NCAA kick more money into the HBCU programs? They got a ton of money. Why don't they do it? Why doesn't Nike put more money in? Why doesn't Adidas? Why should the NFL be the only one that Deion singles out? We're all the sponsors. We're the airlines coming to those programs going, here's free airline tickets. Sway goes, you don't know what you're talking about. Sway goes like this. I'll go to Eastern Maryland Shore over going to Maryland. I don't know what I'm talking. Really? How do you look at that and say that that's common sense? You don't know what you're talking about. You're trying to tell me you think that there's kids in those conferences that are compatible to the Southeastern Conference and Big Ten. And so now one kid was taken from a Division I AA program. What does that tell you? All the kids today are going to the big programs because of the transfer portal. They're not stuck in programs any longer. The transfer portal itself has destroyed HBCU. Why? Because if you're a second-team guy at Bama, now you get to go to Tennessee or you get to go to Kentucky and you get to play. You've eliminated Sun Belt, Mountain West pretty much, and HBCU. Those kids don't get to stockpile any longer on these programs. The transfer portal is free agency. That's why you don't see Mississippi Valley State anymore or North Dakota State. You don't see that shit. You're not going to see it anymore. The transfer portal has done more damage to HBCU than anything. Because all those kids that were second and third team guys at Texas A&M are now transferring to Oklahoma, USC, and Iowa State. Okay, whatever, guys. Yeah, because I'm sure you've been massively recruited. Let's move on here and take a look at the draft. Actually, let me do this one. This is my post. I'm going to show you this. Seals, you know college teaches kids to be a victim. If you want to be a pro, I'm going to go to the best place to make it happen. Truth. S. Blunt, we are going to. I agree. Because some don't. Hey, listen, we'll agree to disagree, okay? It's all good. That's one thing Big Sills will do. We're not. In the old days, I would hammer that topic, but you're right. Let's move on. I'm with you. This is my post. JM, you're damn right. 87% admittance to Alabama, just so you know. Almost 9 out of 10 kids who apply to Alabama get in. That's a fact. All right. This is my post coaches, free agency, and draft top 10 for the NFC and AFC. Okay? Let's start with the AFC. The difference in the AFC and the NFC is without a doubt massive. Okay? And by the way, I think the Eagles could hang. And I'm gonna make a point to you here after I put this list together where I think the Eagles would be if they were on the AFC side. Okay? And I know some of you will probably disagree. Here's the AFC top 10. I get the Browns here. I think Cleveland had a good draft. They filled needs. This is a big year for Deshaun Watson. I think they have a lot of talent on that side of the ball, defensively. I think they're going to be a team that's going to be formidable this year. I think Watson's got a lot to prove. I think Kevin Stefanski has a lot to prove. I got the Browns at number 10. 9. I got the Miami Dolphins here. The question mark's the quarterback. And you know what's cool about the question mark about the quarterback? It's not that Tua can't play. It's not that he can't play. It's if he can play consistently. And if he can be healthy. The kid can play. I think one thing has come out of the last 2 years with Tagovailoa. He can play. Doesn't have the greatest arm, but Manning didn't have the greatest arm. But the kid can play. They picked the option up, which they should have. And I believe he could play. Now, keeping him healthy, they got a ton of talent down there. They got a ton of talent on defense. I think the Dolphins could be a surprise. Maybe they're lower than they should be. But I think post-draft, post-free agency, we still got June 1 yet. I think the Dolphins, with Chris Greer, their general manager, who I really like, I think they got a good football team. Number 8, I got the Jets. I want to see them do it. I want to see Rodgers do it. I want to see Rodgers do it in a conference that has a ton of really good quarterbacks week in and week out. And there is no question, the NFC North, which he's owned like Chicago, bro, you're in now the AFC East. Buffalo owns that division. And you're in a division where you got a bunch of good football teams in there now. Miami's good. Buffalo's good. New England's going to always be competitive. Dude, you got to get in the room here. I think Joe Douglas has put a lot of talent together. I do. I got the Jets at 8. Number 7, you guys may think I'm nuts here. Okay, you may think I'm nuts. I got the Broncos. I'll tell you this. If Russell Wilson fails this year, it is over for him. And it's over for Denver. They pushed all their chips in on the coach, and they pushed all their chips in on the quarterback. If these guys can't right this ship, and last year was just kind of a, kind of just an off year. If last year wasn't just an anomaly, and you have another sorry-ass year, man, the Broncos are in purgatory for a long time. Look at all the draft choices they gave up. They had to give up draft choices for Sean Payton. The money that they spent on Russell Wilson's contract. I think they're going to be a good football team. Again, I think they turn it around. They've put too much in. Hey, would you guys agree? If Russell Wilson and Sean Payton don't turn this around in Denver, doesn't this hurt their legacies when it comes to Hall of Fame conversation? Or do you think it's etched in stone? Personally, I don't think Sean Payton's a Hall of Fame coach. I don't think he's a Hall of Fame coach. Not yet. Okay, I don't. He's 9-7 in the postseason. He had Drew Brees. Everyone's making it sound like this guy's some quarterback guru. Why? Because he gave Taysom Hill some shitty contract? Russell Wilson, man, if he doesn't make this happen like Brady. See, this is the thing he has going against him. Even Matthew Stafford made it work in L.A. Brady made it work in Tampa. Hey, maybe what Brady and Stafford did ain't so easy after all. Right? Maybe it's not so easy after all. 6, I got the Ravens. Defensively, I'm a little concerned. You got Beckham, first-round draft choice. They went and got the kid Flowers from Boston College on the other side. They're tied in. Probably hey, I'd like to get this. Wouldn't be shocked to see Zeke Elliott there. Something like that. Maybe they make a trade for Derrick Henry. I don't know. Maybe they get Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook in that backfield with Lamar. I think Lamar needs a running back. Okay? And Yell goes that the Ravens are fragile. They're fragile because they're light in many positions. They're not a deep team, which is shocking, actually. They're just not deep. They get injuries in the offensive line or they get injuries in the D-line, they're not very deep, and that could hurt them. I got the Chargers at 5. Why? I don't know. I think that team has more talent than 80% of the football teams in the league. Talented line, O-line. talented D-line, talented wide receivers. Get the Eckler thing done. You got a quarterback who's very talented. You got pass rushers. You got Derwin James. You got the kid coming back from New England that had to sit out last year. You got players all over the field. You got a suspect coach, and you got shitty ownership. I don't know. It just seems to me they trip over themselves. There is so much talent with the Chargers. They should be doing a hell of a lot more than what they do, but they don't. I mean, get that Austin Eckler deal done. What are you thinking about? He's a major component to the success of that team. I'd rather lose one of the wideouts than Eckler. Dude, oh no, I guarantee you, watch this. You know how you're going to really set the whole year back? They're going to pick up the fifth-year option on that thing with Justin Herbert. You're going to pick the fifth-year option up. Why? Because you're cheap. They don't want to pay $55 million. So they'd rather turn around and pay 36. Spanos, man, they shouldn't own that team. They don't want to win. They don't want to win. They would rather rob Peter to pay Paul, which means this. They'd rather send Joey Bosa somewhere than pay him and the quarterback. It's completely the opposite of what they do in Philadelphia. I believe that owner wants to win. I believe that owner is a winner. I believe that owner believes in quality people in his organization and probably in every single business he has. He likes good folks around him and intelligent people and motivated people. Remember this, I told you, man, dude, perseverance wins. There's a ton of people out there that have MBAs and have Harvard degrees that are dumb as shit. Okay? You can outwork them dudes. I told you this yesterday. Everyone has a white flag somewhere. Let me give you a great comment. Okay? Let me give you a great comment. Howard Schnellenberger used to tell our guys this comment. Man, he would run us. We would never, back in the day, we would never get water breaks. Remember something. Howard Schnellenberger was with Bear Bryant at the Junction Boys. And he ran the program like that. We never got water breaks. We got 3 hour in the Miami heat and humidity running drills. No breaks, running drills. Finally, Kevin O'Neill, our trainer, or Andy Clary, our trainer, would come to him and go, Howard, you got to give these guys a water break. You're going to kill someone out here. And we would run from one end of the field to the other. By the time we got there, the whistle blows. So you grab as many waters as you can and you drink them. That's how I was trained. And Howard would pull us all in the middle, and Jimmy would pull us all in the middle. And he would say, remember this, your mind will quit before your body will. Most of you have never driven your body to complete exhaustion where you fainted. And he's right. Your mind quits first. There's a point, everyone has it. Until you're stretched to that moment, you don't really know until you feel it, and then you know your limits. Howard found your limit for you and what your limits were and wanted you to go beyond it. Same with Jimmy. That's how I was trained. We were trained to find our limit. If you put your hand up, back then, today, people do it all the time. Back then, if you put your hand up, you didn't probably play. You were afraid. Nobody put their hand up. Tired. Around those men? No, not happening. They came to us, man. This Coach Maddox came to us and told us Howard was at Junction Boys. So if you think that guy's going to give you guys a day off, you're out of your freaking mind. Let me give you one last story before we move on here and continue on the AFC side. So we played Florida State one year, and we got beat pretty handily. We're walking off the field. Schnellenberger goes like this. Where you guys going? This is after a 3-hour football game. Where you guys going? Well, it's the end of the game, coach. Where you going? You guys gave no effort. Went out there and had a 3-hour practice. 3-hour full contact scrimmage after a Florida State game. Lights are going off. That's how I was trained. You walked off the field, man. You couldn't hold your helmet. You couldn't hold your helmet. You had to get your pads off because you couldn't hold them up on your shoulders. I have fallen to my knees being coached by them guys. When I see guys doing this today, I'm like, dude, Jerome Brown was right there. Jerome was in it. Highsmith, Irvin, all of us. We're all in it. Drove you to exhaustion. No water. 3-hour practices. Can you imagine no water breaks in a 3-hour practice today? They'd arrest him. Yo, can you think about that? They'd arrest Howard Schnellenberger today for cruelty. No water breaks. Dude, I've gone through a practice like that. You don't deserve water. Shit, Jimmy, you heard the story one day. Jimmy Johnson was so pissed off at the Cowboys flying back from Washington, he didn't give them the team meal back to Dallas. And that's pro guys he did that shit to. Guys making millions of dollars. He goes, Jimmy, you want to serve the meal? He goes, no meal. Everyone, hey, no meal. Can we get water? No meal. Dude, the stewardesses were like this, and even the assistant coaches went, JJ, come on, man, they got to give him dinner. And he goes, no dinner. They weren't hungry enough? No dinner. See that guy you see on TV? That's why I tell you, when Jimmy comes on, that guy you see on TV, that's not the same dude I know. Dude, man, that guy was a tyrant, man. That guy was a tyrant. Those guys were all tyrants, man. Holy shit. Oh, man. No dinner. So I got here at my AFC. I'm ranking post-free agency and post the draft. Browns 10, Dolphins 9, Jets 8, Broncos 7, Ravens 6, Chargers 5. I got the Jags 4. Okay? Okay? Jags 4. 3, I got the Bills. 2, I got the Bengals. And number 1, I got the Chiefs, the reigning champions. Here's now my top 10 NFC teams. And I'll tell you where I would rank the Eagles with all these top 10 teams. Bills need a running back. Bills need a running back, and I think they need another safety. I got the Saints at 10. I think Derek Carr is going to go into that division and win it. I think it's going to be between them and the Panthers. I think Frank Reich's going to go into Carolina, and I got Carolina at 9. I got the Saints. I think the Saints are going to have a good season this year. I don't like Dennis Allen. Okay? I don't like Dennis Allen. But I do like the organization. I like the Benson family, and I like Mickey Loomis. Okay? As I said, I got the Panthers at 9. 8, I got the Giants. were the Giants a 1-year wonder kind of deal? You think the Giants were a 1-year kind of? I mean, how much faith do you have in Daniel Jones? Dude, I would make this comment to you. I think Daniel Jones is the most overpaid quarterback in the NFL right now. I think Kirk Cousins. I would take Kirk Cousins over Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones? Was he that impressive to you? Sills, do you think Swift's an upgrade from Sanders? I do. Because he's a pass catcher. Okay? Giants have a good coach. Yeah, I get it. But follow me here. Twiz. When the coach is more popular and is talked about more than anyone on your team, isn't that a problem? I don't want to talk. That's a problem in Dallas. You talk more about Jerry Jones than you do Dak. The face of the Cowboys is the owner. The face of the Eagles is Jalen Hurts. Howie Roseman to some extent. I don't know. There's something about the Giants. Makes me think that they may have a step back this year. I put the Lions at 7. And the reason I put the Lions at 7, I want to see it. You got all the talent. You see that they're talking about a contract extension with Jared Goff. I think that's the appropriate thing to do. Contract extension with Jared Goff? Okay. All right. Sure. I think Jared Goff has revitalized the Lions. I would make this point to you. He's doing something Matthew Stafford really hasn't done. He's made the Lions better. I mean, they're better. Now, I think Brad Holmes is a pretty good general manager. It's turning out looking like he looks like he's like something in the Ron Hughes realm. I mean, I like the Lions, but I got to see the Lions do it. I got to see them do it, right? I think that's fair. I didn't really like their draft that hot. But they may have drafted people that will play. You know what I mean? Do you think me putting the Rams at 6 is high? Fully healthy Rams team. You don't think the Rams are one of the top 10 teams in the NFL, or I should say in the NFC? I just don't think the NFC is that good. Healthy Stafford, healthy Donald, Cooper Kupp, healthy team. I know they got rid of Ramsey. I don't know. I got to think the Rams, with the people that they have on their team, I got to think the Rams are going to have a bounce back, right? Look, I'm not saying they're the elite of the NFC, but I think they're a good team. Well, when you say Alexander goes, the Rams are done. Okay, well then who else in the NFC do you put in the top 10? The Cardinals? The Bears? Washington? Maybe. Nobody in the NFC South? The West? Seattle? San Fran? The Rams? Okay, I mean, you're making it sound like there's a shitload of teams out there. The Bears? I don't see it yet. Washington maybe. But I see the Rams. I mean, I think they got too much talent, man. And not everybody played last year. So, by default, hey, by the way, I don't think the Rams are great either, though. It's not like I think the Rams are great. I don't. I just think that there's no really good teams in this division or conference. Falcons? Dude, really? I'll take the Rams over that. Tony, you're going to take the Falcons? Okay, I'll take the Rams. If we're going those two teams, Sills, Rams or Bears? Rams. Rams or Washington? There's a debate there. I think there's talent in Washington. I got the Cowboys at 5. Dak, you got to do something, dude. $49.5 million you're going to make this year. Son, if not now, when? I don't know. The run game, Tony Pollard. I mean, they take the guy from Michigan in the first round who I thought was a third rounder. Maybe they make a trade for a back. But if they don't have a good running game this year, Dak's dead. The Cowboys have to have a good run game. They have to. I mean, it's got to be top 5. For the Cowboys to have a shot at the NFC Championship game, they got to have a top 5 running game. And I don't see where they have a top 5 running game. Cosmo. Well, let me ask you this, Cosmo. How many years has Dak been in Dallas? Now he's making almost $50 million. How many playoff wins does he have? If he's not on the hot seat, then where are you going? Where are you going with Dak Prescott? You know, where are you going with him? Look, I get, Sills, if you're going to replace somebody, what's your option? You're right. Cooper Rush? Not really. But dude, man, if I were the Cowboys, I may have sent Dak to Green Bay and said, send me Aaron Rodgers. Let's go try to win a Super Bowl. You need an adult throwing the ball. And by the way, that's not a fair take on his character because I like Dak's character and I like Dak who he is, okay? All right, I mean, I like Prescott. But I just, dude, Dallas will never be irrelevant. Look at the TV ratings according to Jerry. Now, if you're talking about irrelevant in the postseason, yes, touche. Okay? Oh, another one of those great faces of the franchise. I think Dak is great. I've got no problem. I just don't think he wins. Last year, the picks. You know why the picks went up? The running game suffered. You got rid of Amari Cooper. So it exposed Dak. Plus, he's coming off an injury. I mean, did you expect him really to play well when you started losing talent around him? He's another one of those guys that needs a shitload of people around him to succeed. Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Godwin, Gronk, Leonard Fournette, a good old line. Even Brady. Now, Brady needed less in New England when he was younger. But even Rodgers needs more. So to me, the Cowboys are judging themselves by the regular season and not the postseason. And it's a flaw. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles are get this, I don't really think much. See, I saw someone go like this, Sills 15-2. I could care less whether they're 15-2 or whether they win 12 games or 11 games. Does it matter? As long as Philadelphia has home field advantage and the playoffs run through Philly, if you win 10 or 15 games, does it matter? Jalen Hurts is not going to be gauged on winning 15 regular season games. I just watched the Boston Bruin team get knocked out of the playoffs by a very underachieving or a very overachieving Florida Panthers team. I just watched the 76er team without the MVP beat a Celtic team that was favored by 10 points. Come on, guys. Okay? I don't care what the Eagle regular season record is. I don't care. I care they get home field, host it, win it, go play for it. You think the Giants cared that they were a 10-6 football team when they beat the undefeated Patriots? Who cares? Who cares? That undefeated Patriots team goes down in infamy now. You got beat by Eli. Yeah. Number 3, I got the Seahawks. I got the Seahawks at 3. I think Seattle's had a good draft. I think they're doing great things in Seattle. I think John Schneider's had a heck of an offseason. Restructuring of Geno Smith's contract. I think they drafted people that are going to play. Who would have thunk it? Seattle is better off without Russell Wilson. Wow. Very seldom do you move off a franchise quarterback who's still got juice in the tank and you're better. Detroit's better. Albeit the Rams won the Super Bowl, but Detroit's better without Stafford. Dude, you don't see that stuff. That's not common. So the Lions are better without Stafford, and Seattle's better without Russell Wilson? Wow. Kudos, Gino. Kudos. Pete. No wonder Pete Carroll, 2 years earlier, prior to Russell Wilson being traded to Denver, Carroll was trying to move the guy 2 years. 2 years in a row. No wonder he was trying to move him 2 years in a row. He wanted to get out from under all that. He wanted to move on. Probably 2 years too late for Denver. Right now, it looks like Pete got every bit of success out of Russell Wilson, doesn't it? Who would have ever said this comment? If Russell Wilson fails this year in Denver, he won because of Pete Carroll. Because now we're saying this about Belichick. Well, Belichick won because of Brady. Well, Carroll's got to get that love then, too, on the other end, no? If he has another bomb season in Denver, you go like this. Damn, Pete. Way to go, dude. You ran that dude across the finish line and made him a Hall of Fame quarterback. Because without you, he sucks. That's what's on his dinner plate. Brady threw it back at Belichick. This guy won a Super Bowl on Zoom calls. Guy picked up his lunch pail and went to Tampa. Zoomed it through pandemic, won a Super Bowl. And now Bill is looking for his first playoff win in 3 years. I don't know. Not a good look for the dude up in New England. The hoodie's got some answering to do this year if that team shits the bed. Look at Pete. Pete's like, hey, Russell could talk about all the shitty environment he wants here in Seattle. We're winning now. He's right. I got the 49ers too. I know. Quarterback. It's a great roster. It's a great roster. Two best rosters are in the NFC. Number one's the Eagles. So your top 10 NFC. Saints, Panthers, Giants, Lions, Rams, Cowboys, Vikings, Seahawks third, 49ers second, Eagles one. AFC, Browns, Dolphins, Jets, Broncos, Ravens, Chargers, Jags, Bills, Bengals, Chiefs. Now, where would the Eagles fit with these 20 teams? Where would you put the Eagles? Who would be your top five out of these teams? Who would be your top five teams? AFC, NFC. I haven't even written it down yet. You'd have the Eagles third, second, top two. Huh. Something's wrong with me. Hey, something's wrong with me. Something's happened. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what's happened to me. Top three or four. Eagles 3, Eagles 2. Are you going to grade me on my penmanship now, Marcus? Screw you. Sea of Green 3. Eagles will blow out Bills and Bengals. Wait a minute, Sills. On March 13th. I said this, Joe. I revised it. Yes, I did. not cowering. You've had a great if you remember what I said in that soundbite, Joe, as of March 13th, as of March 13th. So let me ask you something, Joe. Have things changed since March 13th? Just professionally, yes or no? Joe, do you think things have changed since March 13th? When free agency started and you lost 5 starters and you had holes everywhere on defense. It's not apologize. As of March 13th, I didn't believe they were a playoff team because of the holes on defense. Now, this guy's had the greatest offseason that I could have imagined. It is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh, here are my top 5 teams. With the 20 teams that we just talked about, that is a great take by Yale. Howie's kept the momentum going, hasn't he? Howie's kept the momentum going. Okay, Michael, you're right. Shakir. Maryland Eastern Shore doesn't have a football team anymore? Oh, that sucks, man. I think Art Shell came from there. Either Art Shell or Upshaw. I forget. One of those two came. Maybe it was Art Shell. Did Art Shell come from Maryland Eastern Shore? I could have swore one of those Raider guys came from that program. I could have swore that he came from that. Art Shell? Okay. Here's my 5. I got the Bills at 5. I got the 49ers at 9. I got the Bengals at 3. I got the Chiefs at 2. And I got the Eagles right now with the best football team in the NFL. You guys think the Chiefs defense is better than the Eagle defense? Chris Jones? What else? You guys think the Eagles, you think they have a better defense than the Eagles? Kansas City, Eagles, Cincinnati, Jets, Bills. You must be a Jody Mack fan. You guys, do you think Kansas City has a better defense? More talented guys. See, I don't. No, and watch this. Do they have the advantage at tight end? Here, let's do this. And I did this a little bit last night. Chiefs, Eagles. Quarterback. Chiefs. He's the best guy in the league. It's not a rip on Jalen. He's the best guy in the league. Running game. I think that's the Eagles. O-line. Eagles. Wide receiver. Eagles. Tight end. He's the best in the league. Kelsey. And the Eagle guy's not, He's a top 5 guy too. Quarterback, got the advantage. Running game, Eagles. O-line, Eagles. Wide receiver, Eagles. Tight end, Chiefs. Well, that's 3-2 to me. And that's the strength of the Chiefs. Let's look at the defense. D-line. You think the Eagles, the Chiefs have even with Chris Jones. Here, let me throw this out to you. Even with Chris Jones, Nolan Smith, Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, Jalen Carter versus Chris Smith, Chris Jones, and a bunch of nobodies. I think it's Philly. Linebackers, Chiefs. Safeties, push. Corners, Eagles. What kind of keeps this close is coaching, because the coaching is clearly on the side of the Chiefs. New coordinators, Spagnuolo and Andy Reid. You're not beating that. Okay? You're not beating that. They're better coaches. Spagnuolo, former NFL guy, head coach guy, and a really good coordinator. And you got a play calling head coach who could go down in NFL history as one of the absolute best. So coaching is on the side of Kansas City. Front office, well, Veach learned to cut his chops in Philly. I would say front office-wise, because Howie's had to rip this thing up 3 different times, along with Joe Banner, I would say Philly. It's pretty compatible. But here, if you don't have Patrick Mahomes on that Chiefs team, I think it's a runaway sweep. Because Kelsey's not going to be the same tight end with Kirk Cousins. You think Kirk Cousins and Travis Kelce are the same? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, don't the Eagles have a better football team? Don't they have a better football team than Kansas City? Coaching's better. Quarterback's better. I think that is really what keeps it close. Because, dude, if you had Marty Schottenheimer, I don't think that's a difference maker. If you had Josh McDaniel, that's not a difference maker. Andy Reid's a difference maker. Let me say this to you. If you had Brian Daboll as the head coach in Kansas City, that's not a difference maker. Andy Reid's a difference maker because he's won everywhere he's gone. He's developed and he's coached. McNabb. Hey, by the way, McNabb and Mahomes coming out of college. I mean, one guy came out of Texas Tech and the other guy came out of Syracuse. Not hotbeds for quarterbacks when it comes to putting QBs in the NFL. Those aren't hotbed programs. I mean, Syracuse used to be good in the 50s and 60s and kind of decent when McNabb was there. But they're not year in and year out like world beater Syracuse. Syracuse is a hoop school now. Texas Tech. I mean, okay. What, Billy Joe Tolliver is the only other quarterback I could think that came out. Remember that stiff? Billy Joe Tolliver. I killed that guy in college when we played Texas Tech down at the U, at the Orange Bowl. He came in there. We killed that kid. Hey, this is not saying who's going to win the Super Bowl. I'm asking you who's got a better team. Would we agree your better teams right now are Eagles, Chiefs, Bengals, Niners, Bills? Those are the 5 best teams in the NFL. Again, any one of these teams can win the Super Bowl, I think. because the war of attrition has to hit these rosters yet. Eagles got lucky last year. You put 22 guys in the Super Bowl, which is amazing that in Super Bowl 57, you guys had 22 guys out there on the field. Unheard of. Unheard of. And get this, look at something else on your team, and especially on your offense. You upgraded your quarterback position. You upgraded the quarterback position. You, now with Swift, have upgraded the running back position. You've addressed the right guard loss. That's the only glaring weakness. Not weakness. That's the only glaring question mark. Is your right guard. One position. After an offseason like this, one position on offense. It's an important position. But like Jimmy Johnson said a couple days ago, I will take the most important person on my coaching staff and in my building is my O-line coach. And Jimmy goes like this, Bill Callahan in Cleveland and your guy in Philly are the two best O-line coaches in the NFL right now. And he goes, I will take a great D-lineman over a D-line coach any day. But you can't find these O-line coaches. They're hard to come by. That's why Philly kept him and fired everybody else on the offensive side when Doug left. We do have the better team, but Andy knows how to win with nothing. Correct, weapon. That's why my definition of what I just did here was who has the best team. That doesn't mean you win. We watched the Boston Bruins with 65 wins just get knocked out of the playoffs in the first round. Guys win the President's Cup, and they got knocked out of the NHL playoffs. I mean, you watched Milwaukee. You saw Boston last night. Just because you got the best roster doesn't mean you're going to win it. Okay? That doesn't mean that. I asked you who you thought had the best team today on May 2nd. Okay? I got these 5 teams. Eagles, Chiefs, Bengals, 49ers, and Bills. Okay? Those are my 5 teams. I think the Jags are coming up. I think the Jags are trending up. I think the Chargers, I don't know what they're doing. The Ravens, we'll see what they do defensively. The Broncos, huge question mark. The Jets, bigger question mark. Dolphins, can the quarterback stay healthy? Browns, the quarterback, period. NFC, Saints, who are they fighting in the NFC South? Carolina, Atlanta, the Bucs. Baker Mayfield is the face of the Bucs now. So you go from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield. That's like jumping off a cliff. Panthers, I think they're trending up. Giants, I don't know. You made a commitment to a guy that I would never made a commitment to. Lions, trending up. Cowboys, are they ever? No, that's all they love is trending. The Cowboys just worry about trending. They don't worry about winning. They should be called the Dallas Trenders because that's all they care about is trending. How many games have you won the last 30 years that matter? 2. Jesus, 2. I think it's 3. But, I mean, seriously, in the last 30 years, Dallas has won 3 significant games. And none of them were in the NFC title game. Shit, they haven't gotten to a conference title game in 27 years. The Jags have been to more, get this, the Jags have been to more conference title games in the last 27 years. And so have the Bengals than the Cowboys. Hey, Yale, did you think about that? The Jags and the Bengals have been to more conference title games than the Cowboys have been in the last 27 years. The Jags and the Bengals. Howie did it again. Cowboys had a horrendous draft. Big Sills, do you think Cam Jurgens starts? I do. So wait a minute. Before I take a timeout, the Bengals and the Jags have been to more conference title games than the Cowboys in the last 27 years. America's team. Shit. I guess you don't have to be that good anymore. I got grades on every single football team. 3 days of the draft. I went and looked at everything. We're going to do that. Also, Philly 500, bottom of the hour, 5:30 Eastern. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Weather forecasting is a team game.
We rely on each other every day, updating the models and passing along new critical information.
We have a team of 5 experienced meteorologists and a specialized weather producer, Paul. Say hi, Paul.
Sometimes what I see in the model, Cecily could see something different.
That's when we come together as a team to make our most accurate prediction.
And all of this backed by more than 100 AccuWeather scientists. It's a team game.
And we have the best team in town.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Celebrating the life of your loved one is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. When the matriarch of the Dalloway family died suddenly at 82 years old, Life Celebrations by Givenish stepped in.
They will make this the easiest thing that I know it's not easy, but they will make this as easy as possible.
Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
I just know that my dad, who is in charge of everything, was not in charge of anything at that point when my mom passed. And again, just another shout out to this place for making it easy.
Turning tragedy into a celebration of life, no matter how hard, is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills! So my daughter came home from college. I'm going to tell you a story, and they're working out. Just what a maniac she is. They drove yesterday, and they came back, and my wife went and picked her up because I'm here with you. So we're sitting. They're not here, so I'll tell the story. So this guy kind of likes my daughter. And she goes, Dad, I had a problem with him. Okay. I don't know Johnny something. And I told her, I go, a man names himself John, not Johnny. Okay. I was Danny. Only my family calls me Danny. So she's like, He wanted to wrestle me because, my daughter is like the captain of her number 2 ranked women's rugby team. They, a tournament she's supposed to play in with BYU, Stanford, BYU, Stanford. Who else is in it? Them and Washington for the West Coast section. So this guy goes, hey, you think you're really tough? Okay. Hold on, Gigi. You're going to like this. So I taught my daughter a couple wrestling moves. See, you got to understand something about Big Sills. Big Sills was a hell of an amateur wrestler. I finished 3rd in the AAUs. I almost went to the Olympics. I got recruited by Dan Gable. I posted the picture. I almost played college football at Iowa and wrestled at Iowa. So I was a pretty good wrestler. And I was recruited by Dan Gable. I got a great picture of me and Dan Gable with my daughter and him when they had a tournament in Southern California. So I took her and she's like, Dad, this is Dan Gable? I go, yeah. And so what was the head coach back in the day at Iowa? God, man. And they were going to let me wrestle. And they were going to let me, no, just because you got a scholarship to play football and to wrestle at Iowa, you had a chance, you still had to make varsity. They had like 3 heavyweight wrestlers. What was that guy's name, man? That was the head coach at Iowa back in the day. Damn it. Anyway, so she's like, Daddy wanted to wrestle me. And I taught her the chicken wing. I taught her the chicken wing and the wizard. So she gets this guy in the wizard. She takes this guy, not Brock Lesnar, the coach of the football team, flipped him over and like really hurt his shoulder. She jumped up. He jumped up. And my daughter Danielle goes like this. Don't ever show me your back, dude. I'll put you on your back in a second. Don't ever show me your back. And so the guy's like, he goes, hey, listen, my dad always tells you this. No, Dan Gable. She knows. My daughter goes, don't ever show me your back, bro. Okay. Hayden Fry. That's it. Thank you, Tone. Hayden Fry. Hayden Fry goes, you can wrestle here and you can wrestle for Dan Gable at Iowa. And you could play football at Iowa. I almost went to Iowa. I did. My grandfather goes, you really want to go out there in the cornfields? I'm like, not really. So I was like 62-3. And my daughter killed this kid. So she goes, hey, he broke up with me last night. I said, good. Should have broke his shoulder then. She's like, Dad, I don't want to hurt the guy. I go, but he was a wimp anyway. I said, Dee, bookworms are always going to like you. CPAs are always going to like you. Most men are intimidated by you. Okay? You got gigantic legs, you're beautiful, and you're strong as hell. She's working out right now. I taught her everything, right? She's like, yeah, but Dad, when I beat these guys up like that, I'm like this. I went just like this last night, just at the dinner table. My daughter goes, you're so pathetic. I started crying. I'm doing this. Look. She's like, Dad, I almost broke his shoulder. My wife is shaking her head going like this. There's not a chance in hell you'll ever meet somebody. Dude, I just start doing this. She's like, you're so pathetic. Oh my God. I go, I couldn't have asked for a better daughter. And my wife is going like this. One thing you'll never be is an actor. Holy cow. She goes, Dad almost broke his shoulder. Oh my God. I couldn't stop laughing. I got a tear in my eye and I'm going like this. I go, you actually told him don't ever show me your back? He goes, yeah, I told him don't show me your back because my dad's wizard. It works. And I just went, oh my God. Oh yeah, man. No chance in hell. I go see my daughter. This is why only worms like her. She brought this one guy home. He was a Browns fan. You know, I get a ton of Browns shit because the equipment guy was my equipment guy at one of my stops. He sends me a bunch of Brown shit. So I met this guy. So the guy goes like this, yeah, he wanted to wrestle me. I pinned him 3 times. I go, what happened? He goes, well, you know, I kicked his ass out and I was the end. I go, you're never going to get a man. You're never going to get a guy. She goes, Dad, I don't want a boy. I want a man. I go, worms are only going to like her. Guys she could beat up. I'm all right with that because they're not threatening. I told her this rule. And dads that are out there, here's a rule that you tell your daughter. Don't ever fall in love with a guy. Okay? Make sure he loves you more than you love him. You'll never have your heart broken. Don't be me like with your mother. You get your heart broken every day. Don't do what I did. Don't ever fall in love with anyone like I did with your mother. Okay? It's not a good thing. Because she'll take complete advantage of you. Okay? And the reason why you're going to be a handful also, if you want to be fat in love, marry a fat chick or a fat dude. Okay? If you want to have a miserable life and be miserable your entire life, marry a hot smoking hot chick. I posted a picture of me and Ed Jones, and everyone goes, Sileo, that's your wife? I go, yeah, my wife was like the prom queen. Misery. Misery. I guess my wife's in good hands because I love her more than she loves. Hey, that's what happens, dude. No, Tone, it evolves into that. You know how this is how my wife, so I dated my wife a couple times. I left my Letterman jacket over at her place. Hey, you left your Miami Letterman jacket here. I'm like, shit, I really want that jacket. And she goes, you going to come get it? Been there for 35 years now. If I just let the jacket go, if I just didn't want my own ego jacket, I wouldn't have had the misery that I have. Oh, man. That's the story of Big Sills' life. Oh, yeah, that thing evolves into where all of a sudden, how is it where I'm the wimp? I should have let the jacket go, Gigi. The jacket will always be the la crosse, the cross I bear. She's like, Dad, I'm never going to get a decent guy. I'm like, I know, honey. I know, honey. I know. It's okay. Yeah. Hey, that's my new podcast. Life Lessons with Big Sills. Trust me, I've had enough pain. You still got the jacket? You're damn right, man. You think I would get rid of the jacket after 35 years of pain? What are you, crazy? I'm going to frame the jacket. So she's bringing this guy over, I think this weekend. Johnny, this guy, supposedly, she's already told the guy, don't say anything stupid to my father. Try not to say it. And she goes, the guy wants to meet you. He knows who you are. And, you know, the father told him to get his autograph. And I'm like this, no. We're not having any of that. You're not coming over and meeting me and me signing autographs. And you're coming over to see my daughter. That's not happening. She's like, Dad, if he wants one. I'm like, I'm not doing that. My wife came to me last night and she goes like this, Sills. Like, they want me to sign like something like this. And I said, I don't know. Think about it. Yeah. Hey, I like that. I'll sign an axe. Tell these 49er fans they haven't won since Tupac was alive. And they talked smack about the Eagles, but gave up the farm on a quarterback and running back and got nowhere. They haven't won since Tupac was alive. So you're saying that the 49ers haven't won since pre-internet, right? If I met Big Sills, I would talk so much shit. Sills the shit talker. One day, dude. One day. Who knows? Sills may leave the Dan cave. Sills doesn't leave his driveway. My aunt gets on my shit about that too. One of the reasons why we're not in some of the Hall of Fames, because I refuse to go anywhere. Unless hey, Big Sills doesn't leave his driveway for like $2. It ain't working for me. The 1776 Uncle Sills amateur dentist. Let me get into some of my grades for the Jesus Criminy. We're coming around the corner here. We're gonna get our boy Philly 500 on here in a second. Let me quickly run through some of these. I went in alphabetical order too. Arizona, B, 3-day draft. I think they filled some needs. It's a shitty organization though. And Jonathan Gannon's your coach. Watch him these 50 cents part with his daughter on prom night. Well, 50 Cent has money, dog. I'm okay with that. She brought 50 Cent or Jalen Hurts home. I'm in. What you? Whoa. You brought Jamie Foxx home? Yeah, that's my girl. That's what I'm talking about. I want top shelf dudes. Okay, I want top shelf guys, man. Absolutely. I want the best. Hey, I want the best dudes with the best lives ahead of them to be with her. You think I want some guy like me sitting around on the couch drinking margaritas all day? Philly 500, no, that's not happening. Anybody in broadcasting, no. Nobody in broadcasting can date. Nobody that's an athlete or in broadcasting can date my daughter. Yeah. Because athletes only care about themselves, and broadcasters are bullshit artists. Yours included here. Atlanta, D+. Dude, what are you doing? Outside of Bijan, the rest of that draft? I don't know. I wasn't impressed. Buffalo, they got some nice picks. I think they did a good job. Gave them around a B. And by the way, I'm addressing not the names of the players, the needs. Okay? So I don't know what their players are going to look like. They don't own helmets yet. Carolina, nice. Bryce Young, address the quarterback. That draft is going to be dictated on what Bryce does, though. Any quarterback that was taken in the first round, your draft is going to be indicative of what the success of that quarterback is, not what a fourth rounder does. Chicago, they did the right thing. People in Chicago hate the pick. They addressed the need. Whether the guy's the right O-lineman or not will be a question in 3 years. But they did the right thing. They addressed the O-line. Cincinnati, I think they did an A. I think Duke Tobin does a nice job there now. Duke Tobin, man, that general manager in Cincinnati, they're putting a lot of good, talented people in the room. They are. They're putting a lot of good folks in there. Cleveland, I think Cleveland had a nice draft. I think Cleveland did a good job. Gave them a B. Denver, no first-round pick. I thought they picked up some nice guys and nice pieces and nice additions to what their needs were. The payroll will be the issue for Cincinnati. It will. Green Bay did a ton of things. Did a ton of things, put some – this is all things to help the quarterback, though, and we'll see. Because get this draft this year for Green Bay is also going to tell us whether or not Jordan Love is a good pick. Houston, hey, I don't think there's a lot of talented players in this draft. So what did they do? They got 2 of the best 5 players in the draft. How's that not a good draft? Will Anderson and Stroud. Good for you. You identified the fact that the draft wasn't heavy, and you did a nice job. Cincinnati will be the biggest thing with them is how much are they going to pay? Dude, if Cincinnati gives Joe Burrow if they pick up that 50-year option on him, that's a shitty move. Same with the Chargers. That's shitty. Everyone else is getting signed. But those are the 2 cheap owners. Dude, embarrassing. I think Indianapolis, all going to come down to what that quarterback Richardson. Hey, you want to hear what Pete Carroll said? They really thought of drafting him. And Pete Carroll said this, and I got a lot of respect for Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll said that Anthony Richardson might be the most gifted athlete ever drafted in the NFL draft at quarterback. I value his opinion. That's a pretty big statement. That's also a testament to what Geno's done and how Geno made them not pick him. Pretty impressive. So you passed on what you thought was the best athlete in the history of the draft at quarterback because you like what Geno did. Boy, if I'm Geno, man, that's quite a comment about your about who you are and what you've done. The JM coach, that means he's dumb. Jacksonville, B-. They did some good things, trading down a lot. I thought they moved around a bit. I would say this to you. Kansas City, I gave him a D+. Who the hell did they draft? They drafted that guy from Barrett School, K-State. Oh, holy shit. Unbelievable. Let me tell you this, man. I got a beef to pick with Philly 500, man. He's been telling me between him and Tone and Xander and all these guys, I got a beef with him. Before I first started talking to all you guys in Philly, hey, you got to watch out for this Howie Roseman. Hey, you got to watch out for this Howie Roseman. Hey, you got to watch out for this. I don't know, man. This guy looks like he's Merlin the Magician. Belongs at the Knights Round Table with Excalibur. Let's bring in Philly 500. I don't know.
Yo.
Holy cow, man. Passed out gabagool around.
I just finished it. What are you talking about?
Dude, your boy, hey, without polluting the question, 3 days, your takeaways from what you've seen with the DeAndre Swift move.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, I just could not believe the way the draft fell, first of all. We talked about the first day. Second day, I thought was pretty good too. But, to start day 3 by trading up and getting Ringo, I thought was a huge move. And then the DeAndre Swift is, to me, what puts the Eagles over the top, because I truly believe that they needed another running back. You needed another running back on this team. And to get DeAndre Swift, a guy who's legitimately a dual threat for this team, I just think it took it to another level. I really did.
Here are the guys: Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen, Sidney Brown, Keely Ringo. I even liked the Tanner McKee draft because he was recruited by Coach Shaw at Stanford. 188. I think he's a good player. Even you know what's significant about all these guys here? They were all ranked at one time in the ESPN or the Rivals 100 best high school prospects. And they all went to gigantic programs. Texas, Stanford, Georgia, Illinois, Bama, Georgia. I mean, they stayed in that sandbox, Philly. They're not going out with the North Dakota states or the Mississippi Valley states and shit like that. But outside of the first round guys, which one of these dudes do you think makes the biggest impact? Steen, Brown, Ringo, or the D tackle that was taken in the 7th?
If I had a guess, I'm going to say I think Steen or Brown, because I think with Stoutland coaching Steen, I really like that. And I think with Brown, I think he comes into a position where if he could come in and perform, I think he could legitimately win a job there. I think the safety spot is wide open. So I think he's got a real shot. Now, I really like Ringo, and I want to see what they do with him, because from everything I was reading about him leading up, a lot of people felt that he is a guy that is going to be a better safety in this league than a corner. So if that's the case, then him also. But I think those guys have a chance to do something, because of, those are where the Eagles position-wise, I think, are a little weak, or a little thin, rather.
I said this in the first hour about Nolan Smith. This is how I would play him. I would play him in the wide side of the field to take full advantage of that 4-3-9. Mm-hmm. And for me, he's more of a player like a Micah Parsons in the aspect where he could cover tight ends and he could cover backs out of the backfield because of his speed. You have good DEs that set the edge with Graham and with Sweat. You've got two weapons now. Okay, this is why I think a 43 is more conducive to a 34. I'm not taking Fletcher Cox and Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis off the field just to play one of those three. Mm-hmm. If anything, I'm going to play a bear front, and I'm going to use these two guys as weapons, because as a coordinator, if I'm offense, I got to go like this. I'm not putting a back on a guy who runs a 4-3-9, and I'm surely not going to put a back on somebody who had 17 sacks. So I think they've got more weapons this year to work with than what they did a year ago. They may be more inexperienced, but do you think they look like they have more versatility on how they can get to the passer?
Yeah, a lot of ways I actually do, especially with the Nolan Smith move. What they're going to be able to do with him. And a lot of people have talked about him being used like Reddick, but I think you can actually do more with him because you have Reddick too. So I think they got a lot of versatility. I really do. It's quite remarkable what Howie Roseman has done. I don't know where this guy came from, the reincarnation of Howie Roseman, but man, I like it. I like it a lot.
I put some free agents down here that I think are going to be casualty hits on June 1. There's another day on the calendar now that he's going to be able to take a shopping cart and go take a look. Now, Harrison Smith, he was targeted a lot last year, and he was hurt on that Vikings defense. Now, to me, he has got a huge number. He's a little old in the tooth. He's a safety, though. He's 33, 6-time Pro Bowler. Do you give it a sniff, or do you keep with what you have?
At that position, I keep with what I have. Harrison Smith, Viking, a little old on tooth, like you said. We beat the crap out of him enough. I'll pass.
How about a 30-year-old Shaq Barrett?
Yeah,
who is going to be from what I'm understanding from the Bucs, he's going to be on the open market, and he's going to be a casualty of the cap. He's 30. Just had a tragedy, obviously. There's going to be a lot of people that are, and I think he's going to be playing for his daughter, and he's going to be a highly motivated man. He is always a highly motivated man, and I love the man. What do you think about something like that for depth?
Yeah, I mean, sure, for depth, why not? I would be open to that, of course.
I think Michael Thomas, the wide receiver for the Saints. How about this one? I'm going to show you why. Here's why I think this makes sense. Remember something a couple of years ago, Odell Beckham took the 3-hole job with the Rams, parlayed that into a $15 million job, even with him being hurt in Baltimore because he won a Super Bowl. Can't you position it this way? Hey, Michael, you're not going to have 100 catches here, but you're going to go into the slot, and we're going to put you in the slot, and you have a shot to win the Super Bowl. Then if you don't want to re-sign here, whatever, you're going to have a gigantic market for you in the open market, and you're going to be able to revitalize that resume, which has suffered the last 2 years in New Orleans. Could you pitch that to someone like him? Because winning has got to matter. Because do you want 100 catches or do you want a Super Bowl ring?
Right. Well, if he wants to win, then why not pitch it to him? I'm good with the idea of bringing somebody else in for that slot wide receiver spot. I have no problem with that at all. I think they're okay with what they have, but if you can improve it, yeah, definitely. But I don't know. How old is Michael Thomas anyways?
I think he's 30.
30. Yeah, maybe for like a year. If he's willing to take that slot spot, sure. I'm open to it.
Here's the guy I want. And there's a relationship with the Eagles.
Okay.
C.J. Mosley, Jets linebacker, last year's second team All-Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a relationship with Joe Douglas. I think this guy's going to be – he signed a contract a couple years ago, and it is heavy. Here's the problem with the Jets now. You know, next year they got to pay Aaron Rodgers $105 million.
Wow.
Hey, Philly, stroke him, not broken up. 105.
Wow.
Okay, so there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be on the street because of deals that they signed prior to Rodgers getting there. You know, there's only so much you can manipulate the cap with. This guy Mosley, you put him in middle, you put him in the linebacker position. I think that solidifies your defense.
I like that. I think that's the one spot and the one area we got to look at right now where the Eagles should try to add something. You know, there's also talk about guys like Isaiah Simmons and Patrick Queen getting their fifth option, you know, not picked up. So they may be guys that could be possibly moved. So I like the idea. I really think the two spots the Eagles can still address, the linebacker and then special teams. I think they need somebody that can return a kick. I mean, it'd be nice.
Man, they definitely got to get somebody back there. All right. I'm going to do something here, and you tell me if you concur or you disagree here. And then I'm going to give you my top 5 teams. And I wrote this down. This is post-free agency and post-3-day draft. I wrote this down for the AFC. I've got Browns 10, Dolphins 9, Jets 8, Broncos 7, Ravens 6, Chargers 5, Jags 4, Bills 3, Bengals 2, Chiefs 1. You may have them positioned differently, but does that sound like the 10 best teams in the AFC?
Yeah, that's about right. I think so. Yeah, sounds about right.
Here's who I have in the NFC. I got the Saints 10, Panthers 9. You know, there's something about the Giants. I don't know why I put them at 8, but man, I think they're going to take a step back. The Lions have to prove it to me, but I think they're trending in the right direction. I have them 7. This might be high with the Rams, but you can't tell me Aaron Donald healthy, Matthew Stafford healthy, Cooper Kupp healthy, and a healthy full Rams team. And it's not because – I think it's because of the war of attrition that I'm putting the Rams there, because there's really nobody else in the NFC. You know what I mean? I mean, we're going to put there the Cardinals, the Bears, maybe Washington, right? I got the Cowboys 5. I got the Vikings 4. I think they'll be better with Brian Flores as their DC. I got the Seahawks 3. I got the Niners 2. And I got the Eagles 1.
Yeah, I think I for the most part I agree with it. I'd probably have a few slots differently, but for the most part I agree.
Here's my 5 best teams in the NFL now.
Okay.
Put them all, AFC, NFC.
Okay.
I can't believe I'm saying this. Everyone knows, but I can't believe it. 5, I've got Bills. Now, I think this is the best teams. That doesn't necessarily mean we saw the Bruins get knocked out. We saw the Celtics get beat last night, right?
Hate the Celtics. Hate them.
Right? You see it, right? Look at Milwaukee, the Bucks.
Yeah.
So I got the Bills 5. I got the Niners 4. The Bengals 3. you're going to shit here. The Chiefs 2 and the Eagles 1.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't you think the Eagles have the best team in the NFL now?
Yeah, absolutely. Roster-wise, they have the best roster. I would put Buffalo ahead of San Francisco. But
you put Buffalo ahead of San Fran because of the quarterback.
Yeah. But I agree with that. Otherwise, I do think the Eagles have the best roster in the NFL. I don't even think it's close. I think they definitely do.
I would say this to you. What separates probably Kansas, what keeps it close, do you agree? What keeps it close between Kansas City and Philly is the fact that Reed and the quarterback are the differences, and what keeps it close, because I'll say this to you. Well, dude, if you put Justin Herbert in Kansas City with Andy Reid, I'm sorry, that's not a better team than Philadelphia. Right. And if you put Sean McVay, I don't care how good people think Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, let's say, in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, I don't know that's the difference. You know what I'm saying? I think those two guys are the separating factors. Do you agree?
I agree. 100%. Absolutely. No
What's the one move you want to see the Eagles do right now? I'm gonna throw this out to you, and you tell me if I'm wacky here.
Okay.
Go get that Matt Araiza guy. Do you know what the judge? Hey, do you know what the judge did? He released all the videos. He's not in any one of them. He's not been mentioned anywhere in them. There's been no evidence to show that he was there at all or involved in any way whatsoever. And get this, everything he was saying is true. His boys started the party at his dorm room and then left. He wasn't involved with it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but to me, the Eagles have the culture to absorb some of this. Can you imagine having something like that on your football team that changes field position with one play?
Yeah, we definitely could use an upgraded punter. Listen, if he's been cleared, then when a guy's not guilty, he's not guilty. That's it. You know, he should have his life back, as far as I'm concerned. So, I have no problem with that. I wouldn't mind that. It doesn't bother me if he's not guilty. Then I think he deserves to be able to come back and restart his life.
Here's the problem, though. You have one guy already in your market questioning Jalen Carter in the way he didn't like the way he answered.
Yeah.
And was contrite enough. So something like this also, would be brought up immediately, and it would be a major story because get this, that media likes to make themselves part of the story, Philly. So again, maybe that's the only thing that would hedge this thing here is because maybe the Eagles just don't want that kind of they don't want that kind of juju around the team.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame because if we're talking a kid not being guilty, anybody can accuse you of anything, and then you're scarred for life, and you carry that even if you didn't do anything. To me, if I was the owner, that those kind of things would not affect me. If somebody's not guilty and they're innocent, then I gotta respect that. So to me, I would be open to it, definitely. But if you ask me what position I think the Eagles need to address, I think linebacker. I think if they can upgrade the linebacker still, maybe with Patrick Queen trade or a Simmons, something like that, I would do it.
You think this team goes back to the Super Bowl?
Yeah. I think we're looking at a repeat, a Kansas City Eagles Super Bowl rematch.
See, I don't think KC gets back there.
No.
I think Buffalo. I think Buffalo or Cincinnati get there. And hey, by the way, I think the Jags are coming.
Jags are going to be a better team. There's no question about it. The thing with Cincinnati, I wonder, is if Burrows doesn't have his extension and he's got to go into next year.
Okay.
I want to know where his head's going to be at because that's a big. Cincinnati, they don't pay their guys. Let's face it. So I could see that being a big cloud over the Bengals all season.
You hear Mike Brown, the owner of the Bengals, is one of these kind of guys. When you go to lunch. And there's a guy that goes like this. Let me get my wallet. And his hands can't reach in his wallet.
Right. Right.
It's a little too short. You know, he's got alligator arms and he's got a zipper. He's got a zipper on his wallet, man. So you think they go back, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, barring injury, and we're still in May, so there's a long time. But I think that they're built to go back. I think they have the best roster, and what I really like is I really think that DeAndre Swift move puts this team over the top, because I think they got a better running back group than they did last year, and I think they have a running back in which they can use in the passing game, which gives them another element they didn't have last year. I really think that was the move. I mean, that's why we talked about Bijan Robinson and getting another back for that. Able to do it with DeAndre Swift, which was shocking. Okay, so I think they're built to go back. You know, hopefully no injuries, knock on wood, all that. But I think this team's built, man. They're built. I love how they're built, and I think they're ready. And the NFC conference is weak. Let's face it. If you look at the conference, there's nobody that scares me. As long as the 49ers have Brock Purdy at quarterback, I have to see.
What if they bring Brady in?
Oh, yeah. If Brady has anything left, he looked 90 years old versus Dallas, you know, but we'll see. He looked shot to me his last playoff game. So,
okay, I took a lot of heat from people. I'm like, hey, Philly's looking for you. Philly's looking for you. I'm half in the bag. During the draft, I've already had about 4 margaritas. I'm half in the bag. And you're going, get so it. And I'm going like, what? Everyone's like, what? You thought? And I'm like, next time, text me.
What happened was the Eagles just traded for Swift. And I was freaking out live. I was like, I would love to know what Silio's saying. He was like, get him on. Go tell him to come on.
Hey,
you know, I didn't think about it. But next time.
Text me next time. I don't do shows. Okay. But yours, I will do anytime you want me to.
Oh, man.
I am always there for you. But, bro, you got it. Just like Xander, you got to track me down, dog.
All right. I will do that. It was, like I said, it was last second thing. So, I was like, I wasn't going to text you.
I mean, like Philly 500 is going like this. Get me the Rock. Hey, hang on here. Wait a second here. Hey, wait a minute. Give me Ice Cube. Go get those guys. I'm like, what the hell?
I'm just surprised everybody went to you and stuff. I didn't know people were going to actually run over there, you know, and be like, get over there.
Yeah, they're in my DMs going like this. Hey, Philly's looking for you. I'm like, I'm having a bag here with this guy. What is he? What the Jesus Christ? Hey, make sure you guys check out his fabulous stream.
Yes.
All you have to do is go Philly 500, and it's right there, man. He's done a great job at building his empire as well, and we appreciate your time, brother. I mean,
thank you, my man.
This is a fun time right now going on. I appreciate it. Make sure you check him out. Philly, thank you, brother.
Thank you, my man. Peace.
All right, folks, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, We'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
EAGLES, Eagles.
So all the betting apps are now narking on players to the NFL. NFL Players Association has notified all the agents that these betting apps that you see are now they're narking the players out. How would you know? You're narking the players out. Okay? They're all in cahoots with the league now. So the league's in cahoots with gambling, but they don't want the players in cahoots with them. I guess it's good to be the king. Note, only 12 players from the 2020 draft class had their 5th-year option picked up, the lowest in NFL history. And yet, you're going to see Burrow and Herbert have theirs picked up. Because why? You got shitty owners. That's why. If I'm Joe Burrow, you know what I do? Well, you see, you're kind of in a bind in a way. You're in a bind unless you're hold out because they could franchise tag you. They could do it for, 2 years? They could tag you like they did Cousins. You're guaranteed that tag money, but you're not going to make market value money. And then you just make an adversarial thing. And you tell people I don't want to play there. I don't know. There's no way Joe Burrow plays his entire career in Cincinnati. There's not a chance. Dude, if they open up the purse strings and give Joe Burrow $60 million per year, I'll be stunned. I'll be stunned. You know where Joe Burrow's going to play? You watch San Francisco. Watch. Someplace like that. New England. Something like that. That's Belichick's going to give a parting gift to Patriot fans, Joe Burrow or something. There's not a chance he plays in Cincinnati. See, Mike Brown, who bitched over Carson Palmer's $350,000. Okay? Yeah, but you know what? I would say this to you. It's not about playing for Belichick in New England because he's 70 years old. It's going to be more about playing for Bob Kraft. Bob Kraft's been a great owner. You know, let's not forget he did go to the Super Bowl with Parcells and with Drew Bledsoe. So they went to the Super Bowl. They won AFC championships before Belichick even showed up. He's been a great owner since he bought the team from Victor Kiam. He has. He's been a heck of an owner, man. So I could see him doing shit like that. JM, Caleb Williams? Really? Is everybody that impressed with him? Caleb Williams? He can't beat Utah. Southern Cal quarterback. Okay. Caleb Williams? I don't know. Dude, I don't see a wow guy. I think the kid from UNC might be good. That Drake May kid? I think that guy might be good. There's something to that kid. Maybe him, but I don't know. The kid from Texas? Does he really kind of look good too? The Ewers kid? I don't know. Like, I don't see Andrew Luck or Trevor Lawrence. right? Bryce Young, the only reason there's negative comments on Bryce Young is because Bryce Young's 5'10". But size shouldn't matter when it comes to whether or not you could play in the league. I've seen smaller dudes, bigger dudes, what have you. Size is not the determining factor of your success in the NFL. Your talent is. And the league is set up that way now for it. I don't know, man. I'm not that impressed with Caleb Williams. Because you know why? I'm not impressed with Lincoln Riley. I know Philly fans thought he was going to be your head football coach. I'm like, what has he won so far at Oklahoma? And what has he won at USC? Why is that guy considered an elite coach when he hasn't done elite things? And he's in a conference that's shitty, the Big 12. No disrespect, Barrett, but Big 12, I mean, TCU, okay. What's Texas done? What's Oklahoma done? I mean, I'm not impressed with those programs. TCU probably I'm impressed with. They're good. But the rest of those Big 12 programs, I don't know. Hey, for the record, I haven't been impressed with Miami either. Just so you know, and I'm harder on Miami than I am on any other teams. I'm not impressed with Miami. No first-round draft choices? No second-round draft choices? Really? And it's trending that way next year? What the hell happened? What the hell happened? I mean, we were putting 10, 15, 20 guys into the NFL draft every year and 5 guys in the first round. I can't remember the last Miami first rounders. Maybe those defensive ends from Miami. The guy that went to the Dolphins and the other guy went to Buffalo. That's the last time I remember. Man, Canes football is just like, I mean, it's clearly not the same. Hey, I heard that Penn State kid, Joe's pretty good. I'll be keeping an eye on him. Falcons, I think, did pretty well. They're all, Yale, that's right. They're all going to, hey, Yale, like one of the topics that I brought up about the HBCU, all these South Florida kids are going to Bama and Georgia and Clemson and Ohio State. True. They're not going to Jackson State or Alabama State or any of them other places. They're going to LSU, Georgia, all them top flight programs. And the transfer portal has made it where all those other programs like FIU, FAU, San Diego State, all those programs are getting gobbled up because the second and third team dudes that were on those big programs, the nil money too, JM. Yeah, but where's the nil money? All at the big programs. There's a reason that you get 97,000 fans at a spring game for the Alabama game. Okay? 97,000 fans were at the Alabama spring game. Holy shit. I can't think the last time Miami had 50,000 fans at a stadium, unless it was for FSU or Florida. Okay? I mean, but what the transfer portal has done, all these kids now that were second and third team guys they were like chained to the programs because you couldn't transfer. Now you can transfer. You could jump in the transfer portal and you're eligible right away, which is freaking awesome. I was like the first guy. I had a transfer because I hated my coach, not the head coach, the position coach. I had to get the hell out of there or I wouldn't have done anything because he hated me and I hated him. We almost got in fistfights. And I was like, and then I got to Miami. It was the best thing on the planet, man. I wasn't staying at Maryland. If I play at a small school, I'm playing at a small school, I'm hitting up every local business and getting them to sponsor me. There's no money everywhere. You just got to find it. That's right. Oh my God. If I was at Miami today, Tone, I'd have 10 pizzerias called Big Sills Pizzeria. Big Sills Pizzeria, dude. I'd have a pawn shop. Big Sills, pawn it here, pay you here. Dude, I have a pawn shop in Liberty City, Overtown. Big Sills would be down there himself right after games. I'd be down there, man, with a pawn shop. Hey, I got this Rolex that fell off a truck. Let me take a look at that. In Philadelphia, it's $50. Hey, the Big Sills Lobster Broil. Oh, no, the Big Sills Crab Shack. Hey, there it is. The Big Sills Crab Shack. It's right there on Embarcadero. Right there on Embarcadero, right in Coral Way. The Big Sills Crab Shack. Yeah. Yes, sir. Biscayne Boulevard, baby. Get on down there, man. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for coming aboard. Tone, great stuff as always. Don't forget, 3 to 6 Eastern each and every single Monday through Friday. God bless all of you. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Weather forecasting is a team game.
We rely on each other every day, updating the models and passing along new critical information.
We have a team of 5 experienced meteorologists and a specialized weather producer, Paul. Say hi, Paul.
Sometimes what I see in the model, Cecily could see something different.
That's when we come together as a team to make our most accurate prediction.
And all of this backed by more than 100 AccuWeather scientists. It's a team game.
And we have the best team in town.